Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey,
And I'm JPatt.
and you guys are listening to the Box Officers Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to leave us a star rating or review wherever you're listening to this episode.
Watching a bad movie is like witnessing a serious crime, but have no fear. The box offices are here. Each episode, Kelsey and I will review a new movie, and at the end of each episode, we'll classify the film according to the severity of punishment.
Yeah, so films can be convicted of a felony, a misdemeanor, an infraction, or on the rare occasion found innocent. Now, this week, we are going to be reviewing the film F1. So if you have not seen that, you're going to have to pause this now and come back to us later. But otherwise, for those of you who have been locked in, yes, very accurate depiction. Those of you who have been locked in and have already seen it, let's get into the episode. I've recently been going to the movies like a few days early because you know how they're like, oh, it releases on Friday. You can see it on like
Yeah.
Wednesday. Some places you can see movies on like Tuesday. So I've been going
Oh,
early.
really?
Yes. And normally when I go like early, because it's like during the week, I'll go like 4 p.m. on a Wednesday or something, and it's not super packed. When I tell you, I went this Wednesday for this movie, the whole place was packed. Like you could find seating on the front rows, like the front two rows, but the rest of the theater packed. I said, this is about to be good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Even going into it before then, I thought it'll probably be good based on like the cast alone, but I don't know, seeing all those people there raised my expectations because I'm not like a racy girl. Like I said racy girl like as if I were defining myself as a racy girl. I am not a girl that
Yeah, like
is
into
like
racing like that.
right. Like I've not seen like a lot of Formula 1 stuff or whatever. So I thought I'm going to go watch it because yeah, I like movies, but I didn't have any like serious expectations until I got there and I was like, "Whoa, y'all know something I don't." And what about you?
It was crazy. Not like I saw it just last night, but it was like what, like 11 o'clock when I got there, and theaters still packed. And I think F1 only came, yeah, it came out Friday. And I mean, a theater packed on a Saturday night at such a late time, having so many people, that's why I was like, okay, yeah, this movie's gonna be pretty good. And I know a little bit stuff about racing. I know a little bit about F1, but I've never been the type to like sit down, watch the races, place
Right.
bets, all that other stuff. But after watching it, I was just kind of like, man, I want to get like rich and wealthy enough to attend one of these events and
Me
just
too. Yeah.
like watch the track. I would like to go to a Formula One race. Now, apparently the races aren't as like, you know, showy in real life, but I mean it's the fact that the movie was so good that it just, made something that isn't so flashy apparently into something that, is very like interesting, like
Yeah.
flashy. Throughout the movie, when you get to these like serious parts while they're racing and stuff. Like, personally, I started to kind of like lift myself out the seat just because I'm like focusing as if I'm the driver. Like I'm just kind of like really watching the race, especially in those tense moments. So, I like really I think this movie was a great portrayal of Formula One to people who don't know what
Right.
that is, or people who aren't messing with racing at all. I mean, you still have NASCAR and stuff like that out there, but Formula One is like that's more like these super cars, these super luxurious cars racing. At least that's what I think it is, racing. And yeah, I mean, they have a whole new
For
fan base
sure.
now,
I
I
think
think.
it was like good exposure
Yeah.
for people who weren't into it before, like you said. And like it was exciting to
Mhm.
watch. I feel like the director, Joseph Kosinski, he directed a few things that we've seen before. Most recently, or maybe not most recently, but like last like huge thing was like Top Gun Maverick, which I'm like, yeah, you can see
Yeah.
someone who can shoot things like that, like Tron Legacy, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Twisters, these things that are like
Yeah.
really high action, a lot going on. He's got it on lock. It was super cool.
Yeah. You can see it in the shots, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
You can see it in like the angles of the car
Yeah,
and
it
how
I don't
similar
think
that is.
everybody would be good at directing that kind of style. I think it's just super complicated. So, shout out to him. He did awesome, but I trusted him and I trusted his work. Like, he's done so well in the past at different things that I was like, okay, this is going to be
Mm.
awesome. But something we have to address, at least for like 30 seconds. My girl, my Shayla, Simone Ashley, and
Yeah, yeah. Tell me what happened with
so we did a
her.
little digging, and apparently, so Damson Idris is saying that her role was supposed to be kind of like a cameo role, but more in terms of like a love interest situation, right? So that was the
Okay.
goal. Now, the director recently
Yeah.
said that, and this was on June 16th to People magazine, summarized basically that this happens in films all the time. You always shoot more than you're probably going to use. And sometimes there's like 2 or 3 storylines that just don't make the cut. And that's all that happened here. But he thinks that she's great and he'd love to work with her again. And yeah, he was just like, you just shot too much, so that whole plot line had to get cut. And she did post like at the premiere and said that, spoke highly of the movie and said that it's going to be amazing and she was having a great time celebrating the premiere and that everyone should go see it. She said it's a
Hmm.
must see. So it seems like good vibes all around. But I know that that was something that a lot of people were talking about in the past month, when people were getting those like first looks. They were like, "Hey, wait a second. Where's our girl?" She's not. She's not in
Yeah.
it at all. Not even for a
Yeah.
second. Chris Hemsworth had more screen time than her. Did you catch that?
Like I actually didn't. I mean, I barely noticed her in any of the
I
trailers, to be
actually
honest.
the trailer I saw, I don't even know if she
Yeah.
was in it. Like I don't remember her being in it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And she was supposed to be like just a whole extra love interest to
Mhm.
Idris. You know, just how, what's her name? Who was the love interest to Brad Pitt?
I
What's her,
Yeah,
Carrie?
Carrie's her name. I don't know her. I think Kate was her
Yeah.
character, but yeah, Carrie
Yeah,
Condon.
Kate. Just
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be
yeah, just
similar.
how she was a love interest to him. Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it happens.
I feel like though that was, yeah, it happens. I feel like though it was cut out of the movie, I can't see the movie being any better with it being involved, to be honest.
Especially for
I
his
mean, of course,
character,
I'm
it
pretty
wouldn't have been
sure,
necessary.
yes, yeah, it wouldn't have been necessary. I feel like his character had more development around him kind of like being a team leader and then also putting away his ego. You know, I feel like that was the most important part to his character. I feel like if he had a love interest, it's kind of like, okay, so what about that? You know what I mean? Unless she were to help him get to that goal, that character goal, unless she were like to be like a support towards him and be like, there's some things that you should learn from Sully, the guy who played Brad
Hmm.
Pitt's character. I think I said Sully. Um, yeah, I can't really see her role being of any use besides her just being in the movie and being a good
I guess they
actress.
didn't see it being of any use either because they cut it. But I will say I also don't know how much it would have changed anything, and I think it would have been maybe too tropey. Like we already have like
Yeah,
that going on Brad Pitt's side. Like I think both of them going through that would have been a lot of like tropes. There's a lot. It's already pretty much following a script almost.
yeah,
So I think it was probably for the best and I love her though. She's awesome. It would have been really cool to see her be a part of this, but I'm glad that she's being supportive
yeah.
and it seems like they're supporting her and I do hope that she gets to work with him as a director again. That would be great for her growth and career, but I guess like if we had to talk about other things that we liked cuz that was, the only tear that I shed personally was missing my girl, but I normally start off talking about the cast. I'm going to talk about the music. The score was stunning. That was
Yeah.
beautiful. It's like
You
they
know,
don't do that anymore.
I like yeah, I like Don Toliver and his song with I think Doja Cat is on the song, but his song was involved in the movie doing during this scene where they're like training and stuff like that. Um that was a pretty dope part to me. So, and I really like that song. So they had a pretty good
Yeah,
soundtrack
great
for
soundtrack.
this movie.
I think Tate McRae is in
Hmm.
there on the soundtrack. Hans
Yeah, yeah.
Zimmer did the score for it and like the composing and
Oh yeah.
Some things he's worked on in the past: The Dark Knight, Inception, Dune, Man of Steel, Gladiator. So like you're already up there, like you're an
Yeah.
icon. And this was so
Yeah, it's
good.
a heavy track record.
Heavy, like don't play with my man. And I feel
Hmm.
like this was such a good additive to his like resume, I guess, because a movie like this,
Yeah.
half of it is like the cinematography, but the other half is really the music. Like it has to set the tone, like the pacing, and that's like the
Yeah.
subconscious thing that really like forces you to lean in. You know, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like, you know how you watch Interstellar and you just that one moment, the song,
Yeah.
and
I
it
know the part
like
you're talking about.
carries the scene. Like it's like so much stronger because of the score. That's what this was for me. I
Hmm.
thought perfection, beautiful work. They don't do that all the time anymore. They just don't do it, and it's reserved for like these
No.
masterpieces. So I was like, oh, what a nice surprise. I'm music to my ears, literally. Yeah, love that. But also
It,
stacked cast, like
yeah, it was a very, yeah, I'm looking at like all the cast members. I'm like, yeah, this was a pretty a stacked cast. You got so
you got,
many great
yeah,
actors,
the Brad Pitt. Let's
great faces. Yeah, the Brad Pitt, and I love the character he played. I say that, I like the personality of the
yeah.
character. They called him like, a-hole in the movie. I feel like he had those tendencies, but he wasn't too much of one. He wasn't like too cocky.
Yeah.
Even, and there are parts of the movie like even where like let's say something happens like a crash or like he messes up or something like that. I like the way his character wouldn't overreact.
Yeah.
He'd just be like, oops,
Yeah.
or just kind of like chill
Mhm.
about it. That showed some maturity, and it also showed that he still knows what he's doing in a
Yeah,
way.
when they
Um,
overdo that, sometimes those characters can be overwhelming when they write them, and it's like, do you want me to hate the character or the movie? Because it's becoming a
yeah,
bit much now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I liked how he was like level, like he was level-headed. He was more cooled down than his counterpart, Joshua Pierce, played by Damson Idris.
I was
I feel
sat.
like he was,
That's all they had to put
yeah.
advertised for me. I was sat immediately.
I was
I've been
saying,
waiting.
man, same. I saw Snowfall. I was like, I gotta see this.
I love that
Yeah,
man. Bad.
where,
He's so
yeah.
talented though, and I think that was such a good casting decision as well. Like he has that cheekiness that you need for that role, and
Mhm.
again, very well balanced. There was depth to the characters, not just like we have this guy who's like really mean and like old stubborn guy, and then we have the young like stubborn boy. Like no, there was layers there, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. And I thought Carrie Condon was like awesome. I do believe that she was like a technician for
Mhm.
real.
I liked her.
She ate
Yeah,
that. She did her big one.
yeah. I liked her. I liked seeing Javier who played Ruben.
Another one.
I liked his character
Another one.
too. Yeah.
They brought out
Oh,
all the
that's another
honeys
one
for
for
this
you.
one. I just thought, wow, my king. I love him so much. Everything, all the time. Take my money. Take it. Take it. Yeah, he can do no wrong in my eyes. I'm
Mhm.
following him to the ends of the earth. And he's also someone that, like, when I watch on screen, I forget, like, that it's him and I'm, like, fully immersed in, like, the character that he's playing. Wow. To
Yeah.
be beautiful and talented,
Man.
it's an amazing
I
thing.
also I also liked Abdul Salis. He played a character, Dodge. He played Dodge. He was the older African guy who worked with the pit crew.
Yeah.
I liked his character, his moments. He didn't have too many, but I just liked,
He
I
made
don't
his
know.
presence on screen known though.
Yeah.
Like even though like you said not a lot of screen time, but the time he had was like I remember that. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he just has some aura.
Yeah.
His character has some aura about him. And then we have Tobias Menzies. He's the guy who played the investor. I guess you could call him the villain of the
Oh
movie, even
yes.
though he,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of, yeah. So
He did
he
great though.
was, I don't know, he did great. He was annoying. I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, especially that last race,
Yeah.
I'm like,
He
yeah.
um
But he did great in
he
his
looks
role.
like a
He
villain.
definitely seemed like, yeah. And he definitely seemed like he definitely seemed like the the investor type of guy, and
Yeah, great
like,
casting. He looks like
um,
everyone like fit. It was believable.
yeah, yeah, it was believable.
Something really
So
cool that they had
cast was
were
amazing.
those cameos by the actual Formula One drivers. That was pretty cool. Also,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I thought all of it was really cool. Great acting, great casting, awesome casting. I am ashamed to say I haven't seen like a lot of other like racing movies.
I saw Cars.
Okay, period. Okay, period. I like that's my reference point. So, truthfully, we were both going into this just like open minded, which I think is really cool. I think that people who watch those races regularly probably had a little bit more criticism. I know some Formula One drivers or drivers in general had some opinions about it, which, that makes sense. It's like if you are a tennis player and you watch challengers or something, or I don't know. I feel like that's anytime you do something. If you're a doctor watching Grey's Anatomy, you're always gonna be critical. But I thought it was really cool that we got to go in like
Right.
very open minded, and I thought the movie was like so funny. I I laughed out loud a few times. It was just like so
Yeah.
cute. I thought it was
It had a good sense of
yeah
humor, and it wasn't overdone.
yeah
It wasn't overdone. It was like, but it was almost like, okay, if this situation were to happen in real life, I would laugh.
yeah.
It wasn't trying to be
No.
funny.
It was like
Yeah.
situational humor, just like very light, natural conversational humor, not trying to be silly in any way. And it wasn't distracting.
Hmm.
So I thought the tone throughout was very balanced. It was pretty consistent, but not too heavy, not too light. I don't know. It was just well written, I guess.
What would you say your favorite scene was?
Jeez, I don't know. Do you have one? I'll have it ready by the time you're done.
Favorite scene was probably I was just locked in the whole
Yeah,
movie.
like
Like it wasn't really it wasn't really even ups and downs for me. It was just more like a steady incline.
yeah.
So I was loving a whole lot of it. Let me think.
It's hard because like
I think,
it's not that nothing stood
yeah,
out. Like so many moments stood out, but I felt so captivated the whole time. It's like I don't know how
yeah.
to single one out.
I think my favorite scenes, it was probably towards the point where you have Joshua and you have Brad Pitt's character, and they're finally had that kind of like they seem to finally have some type of synergy, and then it stops right up to the point. Like my favorite scene stops right up to the point where Joshua he had that crash. So it was everything that came in that race before then. I'm like, okay, like they really like, they're going up in place. I'm like, okay, they're getting it together. And then Joshua has that crash, and I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
like I thought he was gone. I'm not
Yeah, I
gonna
was
lie,
like,
thought he was gone,
dang,
but
I think we're only an hour in and y'all already
yeah,
killed him. Like, that's crazy.
yeah. That's why I was like, I need them to stop crashing. But because I think my favorite scenes is where Brad Pitt he was kind of like controlling the race by having that safety car drive out every time he clipped his
Yeah.
car, and he was basically giving Joshua Pierce more time and opportunity to get further up in rank. And I'm like, okay, they have a cool
Right.
strategy going on. That's where my interest, like was really
Sure.
there for that. And then he has that crash, and that's like, boom. I guess that's kind of like the climax of the movie, maybe. I thought he was gone, but apparently, when racers have crashes like that, because it's bound to happen, I feel like, which is a terrible thing
Yeah.
to think, but um, their suits, what they wear, is like really like
Yeah.
fireproof. So I saw him crash. I'm like, dang, that's a bad crash. But then I saw the car explode, and I'm like, crap, is he alive? But they pulled him out and everything. He didn't burn to death, so that was good. But I think it was that race leading up to that point that was my favorite scene.
Yeah, I would say for me,
Yeah.
I'm sure this will change every time someone asks me, but right now, I thought it was really cool before the last race when Joshua was actually running on the track with the rest of the team and
Oh
Brad
yeah,
Pitt's
yeah,
character walks up because it slowly built up to that throughout the movie because the first time we see Sonny running by himself and then we see Sonny
yeah.
running with the team, but now we see Joshua running with the team, and I feel like that was like huge for his character development. And it was just like
Yeah,
that was when I said, "Oh, we're gonna win this." As if I'm in it, I'm like, "This is what we call
yeah,
teamwork. This is like you can see them genuinely caring for each other." And you had seen them like have that, like you said, Sonny pulled him out of the car, or Joshua did stop by the hospital. But this is like them in their competitive environment, in their most like, this is their battlefield really, where they have the most tension, and they're
Right.
like, no, today we do this together. I thought that was like really something, and it was just like, we're about to.
Yeah,
This
it
is the
got you amped up a
movies,
little
like,
bit.
okay,
Yeah,
movies are back.
got
I
you a little
also will
lit.
say something that I really appreciated, like, bonus, those scenes where Kate, I think her name is, yeah, those scenes where Kate was building the car, that was super interesting to me. I've never seen, I don't know,
Yeah,
I'd have no reason
it
to
looks so
look at that kind of content, I guess, but
looks so high tech to me.
yeah.
It was like just so.
Yeah, it was like,
I'm like, dang,
wow.
they
Like she's
really.
building it and you can see like her simulating the wind, and like that scene, the car like lowers down and the wheels like very gently touch the fake track, and it's like itching the spot in my brain. Like it was just so beautiful, and like I don't know, it was just
Yeah,
fun. I had fun watching that, and it was so interesting. Like I felt like I wasn't learning, I guess, but I was like seeing something new. I thought that was really cool of them to include that a few times. I think it happened like a handful of times. We got to see that evolve. I loved it. I loved every
yeah.
second of it.
I think it's crazy that they use these cars for like racing, but they're like so expensive. I think he said one of the cars is like 150 million or something like that. I don't
Hmm.
know. But I'm like, dang, these are like super expensive cars, and the way that they designed them, like the way that they were showing us, it looks something out of like maybe something like 10 years from now. But
Yeah,
apparently they can just do all of that now. It just
yeah,
looks so futuristic. So I did like that scene as
for
well.
sure. I loved a lot of her
Yeah.
scenes too, like just the element of her being the first woman in that role in Formula One, and I feel like
Hmm.
even the girl, let me get her name, Callie Cook played Jodie doing like the pit stop stuff, or she was on
Oh
the,
yeah, the little pit crew
yeah, and I
girl.
was like,
Yeah,
so cool, like you go girl. And I felt like all of
right.
that was, women in STEM. I love to see it. So it was really cool, but all of it was shot beautifully. I think it's super hard to probably shoot something like that where you really want the people watching to feel like they're experiencing the race, not just like witnessing it, but like we're in it. I want to feel what Sunny is feeling in that moment. And it was so beautiful. I literally was like so immersed in this experience. I need to see it in IMAX. I went to see
Mhm.
it in Dolby.
Yeah, that's how it's standard. Yeah,
And Dolby is beautiful. People will debate Dolby IMAX, but I think this was shot for IMAX. So I feel like I need to go back and
definitely. Yeah.
watch it on that screen. I've always liked Dolby though. Like the colors are like super like great. And the sound, it was beautiful. Yeah,
Mhm.
all of it was great. But amazing film, amazing things. It's just hard to like get into what don't we like, or I don't know, do you have something that like you clocked low key?
No, it honestly is hard. I'd say, I guess if there's one thing I could say I didn't like was that it was predictable, but to me it was predictable in like the best way.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted it to be predictable in the way where I know they're going to win in the end, but what will they have to go through to
Mm-hmm.
get there? It's just one of those movies where you have this team coming up from, last place and then ending it first by a miracle. And it's like, okay, we've seen so many movies do that. We've seen like, basketball movies, football movies, etc. But F1, it was just so entertaining that even with the predictability and everything, the visuals, the characters, the storyline, the music all make up for it. And then like at the end of the movie, when we do have that win, like it wasn't done like with both cars about to make it, and then they both make it, but then we have to find out who the winner is, and then we happen to be the winner, and then everybody celebrates. Like, no, it was done in a way. It goes back to what the main character was saying at one point about flying, and in that last scene, we just see his car just gliding around the track. And it's like how they shot that was like, because it did look like he
Yeah.
was flying. Like it looked like they had a
Literally.
drone go across the
I didn't
track
even
and
think about
just
that. Like they could
record
have.
it all.
I don't know that they did, but that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's literally what it felt like. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It literally felt like they had a drone, but I'm pretty sure they might. I'm pretty sure they put like a
Yeah.
little camera on the side of the car, whoever was driving. But again, I liked the ending, even though it was
Mm-hmm.
predictable. Of course, I want them to
Yeah.
win. I just think that it's almost like it was a similar storyline that we've seen before, but it was just refreshing,
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
that's a good way to put it.
especially the very ending of the movie. We don't have the racer, no, we don't have Brad Pitt retire. We don't have him, hurt or anything. He like leaves F1, even tells his girl, he's like, I'll see you some other time or something like that. I don't know. And then he goes off to, the next kind of like, racing league
Yeah.
just because he can't get enough of it. So I thought that was a like really cool and poetic ending. And I thought that was a great way to end the movie.
Yeah.
Especially with his character.
Yeah, I think there was a really cool. You made me think of two things. One, in the end, when he crosses the finish line and the fireworks go off, there was just like a cute moment of Joshua on the side jumping up and down, and there's like fireworks going off in the back,
Yeah.
and it's just like
Yeah,
that's just
behind him. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
satisfying. Like, I think it's satisfying to watch him have that. Like, he's clearly like so overwhelmed with joy, and I feel satisfied because I just sat here for 2 hours wanting to see you guys win. But it's also really cool, like character development. He's genuinely that excited, and it's a team win, but he didn't cross the finish line. And I feel like there was a point where he would have been like upset, but he's like, no, like this is my team. This is us. We did this. I'm happy that you get to have that moment. And I was like, wow, like all of it's coming together. But that was so cute. He's just it's your inner kid, like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was super cute. And you said something else that I thought about, but I can't remember. But yeah, I felt like the whole thing, I guess in terms of like the flow, yeah, like we've seen this before, but it was so well done, and I thought it was still unique in that and again, like we've seen this, but I've never seen it in terms of Formula 1 where we get to go through all of the races, like he's like this is where we're at.
Yeah.
They took us through each race and it added to the plot to get us to this ending, and I thought that was really cool. I wasn't really sure. I figured there'd be at least a few races, but we got a lot. That was a lot of racing,
Yeah.
and they spent a lot of
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
on those scenes. It's not like we got like 2 minutes of people driving in a car and then like 3 hours of dialogue. No, this was a racing movie. I
Right.
was sat. It was giving Formula One for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was locked
that was
in.
really cool. I feel like a lot of things that I've seen personally, just from people that I know, good feedback. Like even from me.
Yeah. It's been great feedback. You said even from you, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially you.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I think it's going to be a memorable movie, like, like movie of the year. And I think it's going to be a staple in racing
Oh, for sure.
movies
Yeah.
because I looked up some racing movies. I mean, you have like Cars, Fast and Furious series, you got Need for Speed, you have Ford versus Ferrari, and you have Gran Turismo, but
There's one with Tom
I feel
Cruise that I'm
like,
forgetting the name of.
is it
Yeah,
Rush?
Rush is like the one that I think everyone's
Rush.
gonna compare this to probably.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's I think it's a new staple for racing movies because you don't see racing movies too
Yeah.
often. And I think until the next racing movie, I think this movie is kind of like the racing movie. It'll go down as a classic,
I think
in my
so.
opinion.
Like, so something that I'm like starting, I haven't built it yet, but I want to have like on my wall, like a shelf of my favorites. And it's not necessarily like some of them
Yeah.
are like cult classics, some of them are, just high praised movies, lots of accolades. Some of them are just really fun watches. Like the Lorax is going to be on my wall because I love the Lorax. It meant something to me. And I feel like some of them are just good watches, whatever. This is going to be on the wall. I just thought it was a good movie. And do I think it's the greatest movie of all time? No. Do I think it's even the greatest movie of this year? I don't know yet. But I just loved it. I had so much fun. And if I have that much fun watching a movie, it's going on the wall. So that's the highest praise I can give it. You will forever be on DVD in this household. And that's all I could do. But I mean, I think we're on the same vibe maybe about this, but not everyone is. I hate to say it.
Not
I would love to put it
everyone.
out there though. When I was scrolling trying to find these tweets, I had to actively type in
It was
F1
hard.
movie bad to
Yeah.
find bad tweets because everyone loved it. So these people, wherever you are,
Hmm.
you're in the minority for a reason. So
Yeah.
I saw
I
something.
think they just don't like their lives,
Yeah,
you
like,
know.
are we projecting right now? But someone tweeted, just watched F1 the movie, and what do I think? As bad as expected. The worst part of it was the lack of emotional depth, which was terrible compared to the likes of Gran Turismo. Female representation in the film was a complete disgrace, nothing memorable about them. Thumbs down. Well, I hope you kissed the brick before you threw it.
I
Like, what
mean,
the heck? That was, I don't know. I would love to
that was a bad
have a
take.
conversation with this person because, like, okay, I
Yeah.
I guess they're saying lack of emotional depth.
How was the female?
Yeah, okay, first of all, the female
Yeah.
representation was like such an important part. I think though, from what I've
Yeah.
seen, like in that dialogue, people were saying like, I guess it was like just sexualized. I don't think the extent of, I keep forgetting her name. I don't think the extent of Kate's character was just her being a love interest. I think that was such a small part of her role and her experience on the
Yeah.
screen. Also, with the girl Jodie in the pit, like, no, that was not even a part of her storyline. And I feel like it wasn't
Yeah.
about that. I think it was an aspect of the movie, but I definitely think it centered around their intelligence and their skills and their, job. Are they good at their jobs? They're phenomenal at their jobs.
Yeah.
This woman is making history, being the first in her field to have that
The first
title.
one, like she talked about that. She talked about why that was part of the reason,
Right?
her marriage
Yeah.
ended, and then even with Jodie, the pit crew member, you see her, kind of like making slip ups because she has that pressure of, I feel like, was she like the only female pit crew member
From like
or
what I
no?
was seeing, it looked like it on that team, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But, if so, just that pressure of being the only one on that team, and then on top of that, her just kind of like locking in over the course of the
Right.
movie and realizing how, like her job is just as
And she really
important
stepped up. She took the
as
lead a
the
few times in
racers.
the end, like really encouraging the
Yeah,
whole group.
yeah,
And I feel like complete disgrace is crazy. I felt inspired as a woman, as a female myself. I felt like, wow, like, should I go study physics or
yeah.
something? Like, I felt very inspired personally. And in terms of like emotional depth, like, okay, it wasn't the deepest, but it definitely had
Yeah.
substance and there were a lot of components, and I think it was super layered. A lot of these, like, I don't know, if you wanted to psychoanalyze these characters, there's a lot you could get into there. So I
Yeah.
disagree with
It's like
everything you said.
it's kind I mean, it's like you can have two great layers to a character. And I'm talking towards like the female technician because, you have this, I guess, this girl boss side, she's the first female technician, etc. And then you have the love interest side. And I'm like, she can't just be either or, be the first female technician and
Love
also have a
Brad
love
Pitt.
interest with the
Like,
main. Yeah, and also love like I mean, we're talking about Brad Pitt.
like,
Can't blame him.
y'all
You
mad
know,
at her? Really?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's like she's supposed to like not mess
Like,
with any men just because she's,
they said
you
she
know what
could
I'm saying?
only be smart
So
or
I'm like,
pretty. Yeah, no. I'm not
yeah,
I'm not rocking with that at all. Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy.
And another tweet is the F1 movie is exhilarating, post-pounding, and a perfect blockbuster to kick off your summer. Brad Pitt and co are all fantastic. The camera work is top notch, and Zimmer's score will lift you off your seat, like you said. Yep. Be sure to see this film on the biggest screen possible, which we should do because I didn't see it in IMAX either. And I'm sure it would have been dope
Absolutely.
seeing
Yeah.
it in
And that's
IMAX.
on my list to do. I'm definitely going. I already wanted to go back because I liked it so much, but I'm definitely going to make sure when I see it next, it's an IMAX. 100% agree. And I definitely agree with um, the camera work top. Zimmer score did, yes, lift you out of your seat is a great way. I felt like I was flying too. Like we were all flying. We can all
Right?
fly.
Like it made me sit up out of my seat and feel as if like let me drive. I can do
Yeah,
this.
for sure.
Yeah, I can do this at Andretti's. I'm not gonna be.
Yeah, when you texted that,
I can't do it at no
I hate to
F1.
say, like, I hope I don't sound ridiculous, but when you texted that, I thought that was like an Italian restaurant. So I was like, okay, like, You're
Are you
like,
for
can we
real?
go eat at Andretti's? I was like, you didn't say eat. You said, can we go to Andretti's?
I think I said, yeah, yeah. I was like, we should
And
go
I
to
was
Andretti's or something
thinking,
like that.
I mean,
I'm
I
not
like
sure.
pasta. Okay. So is this like a racing place or something? Okay. I would be so down. That would be so fun. I put my car in sports mode after watching this. It's not the same,
I'm
but
dead.
like
Yeah.
my drive mode is in sports mode now. I've been merging a
Now
little
that I think
differently.
about
Like I'd
it,
be trying to drive with like one
yeah.
hand. I don't know.
Now I think about it, I was driving home from I-20 like after the
So
movie,
fast.
and I was like foot all the way
Yeah.
down. I was like, let
It's
me.
this is dangerous
I'm like, I
propaganda.
think I got a little skill for
No,
this.
I was like
Right.
low key. If I really applied myself, I don't know. Could be something. I get inspired after every movie I see, though. Like, I'll watch Jurassic Park and be like, I want to be a paleontologist now. Like, I'm just very inspired.
I feel no dinosaurs though.
I know, right? But
I'm not
no, I eat it up every time.
not working at the park.
I eat it up every time. I also saw something, another hater, one of the most boring films I've ever seen with a $1 billion budget that clearly provides you with a 2.5 hour car commercial, predictable, zero character development, and a story that has no idea what to do with itself. You mentioned predictability earlier, and I think that's something that a few other tweets said. I guess you're right. But outside of
Yeah.
that,
I mean,
like,
yeah, it's predictable, but I mean, honestly, to me, if I compare it to a movie that has a similar plot, with, of course, the racers winning in the end, like struggling and clawing their way towards it, and then they have this miracle win. I'm like, think about all of the movies that kind of like have that same plot. To me, it feels a little nostalgic. It feels a
sure.
little like, what's the word? I know it's a little heartwarming. It feels
Yes,
at home.
yeah.
It's like a movie
Something to
that
root for.
it's like a movie, yeah, something to root for. It feels like a movie similar to something I watched when I was a kid. And here comes this movie that gives me that same feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a bit predictable, but at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, like, I just had I had that same excitement that I did in, movies before that had a similar plot. I mean, Cars had a similar
You
plot.
love cars.
It's a point of reference. It's a point of reference. I'm trying to think because I feel like there was a sports movie that had a similar plot,
Literally every
but I feel
movie,
like,
for the most part, in the end, you're going to have a protagonist that wins. Like, they're going to overcome whatever they're doing. Even if you want
yeah,
to take it away from sports, like, you watch a Marvel movie, they're going to beat the bad guy every time. That doesn't make the movie bad. So I think we have to get away from predictability being like
yeah,
a negative because it used to be for me. I used to be like, oh, it's another one of these. But if the movie is good, yet predictable, it's still good. I think it's just like we can't rely on
yeah,
predictability to carry us through a film, but this one didn't rely on it at all. It very much stood on its own. So predictable,
yeah,
sure, like I knew he would overcome in some way, but
yeah. I feel like the movies can have a predictable ending as long as there's a good
yeah,
story or twist within
yeah.
it. Like when Damson's character had that crash, that was a twist. I wasn't
I
expecting
figured
that,
somebody was going to get very
halfway in the movie.
hurt. I thought someone would get very hurt. And I did peep that he
Yeah,
was driving in the
really?
rain. And I said, oh, that don't feel good. And there were little things. Like, he was
Yeah.
just so hard headed at that point, and the conditions were not good. So I
Yeah.
figured something
Nah,
like that might happen.
I thought he would just I thought he would just lose his place, but then when I see his car start flying, I'm like, oh. And then when I see the car explode, I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't
oh,
think it was going
like
to be
I'll be
that bad.
thinking like,
Yeah.
please. I'm like, please. I was thinking like, please don't tell me he's dead. He's just gonna keep playing characters who can't catch a break. I mean, you have Franklin and Snowfall. The way his story ended is sad. So now I'm watching this new character, and I'm like, please don't tell me he's dead.
I
But
feel
good thing he
like
came out all right.
the some things were unexpected though. Like personally, I was not expecting Brad Pitt's character. I was not expecting Sonny to also like once
Yeah, he
Joshua
did also
had a
crash. Yeah.
crash, I said, "Oh, that was the crash of the film." Because you have a racing movie, somebody's gonna crash a car. I thought we had already got the crash. So when
Yeah.
he also crashed, not too much later, I
Also
said,
crash.
that caught me off guard. I did
Yeah.
not see that coming, but I felt like, again, there were little things. I guess in the end, I kind of did expect him to stay on in some kind of advisory capacity. And he said, "No, I did my thing. I'm leaving." And I don't know. I did think him and the girl were gonna run off together, and they did it. She was like, "Okay, see ya." And I don't know. There were a lot of little things that were different, and I feel like I don't know. Even the character development, to say that there was zero character development, that's all we were left with was character development. That's not true at all. That's almost like
Hmm.
actively going against what we just saw. Like that doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
whatsoever.
definitely. And I see this other tweet. It says, "Wow, F1 turned out to be a damn good movie. Basically, Top Gun Maverick, but with racing cars." And I did get that feeling out of it. Just same director, had a Top Gun feeling to it. Solid feel good popcorn flick with strong performances and some excellent race sequences. Might be the dark horse of the summer blockbuster season. So I feel the same way. I mean, I'm not sure how people are complaining. There's not much to complain about. You could say predictability, but I mean, honestly, what other outcome was there?
They were gonna
What
win or
other
lose.
outcome would you have liked to
There's a
see?
50% chance you were gonna
Yeah,
predict
it's
how
either
this
win
was
or
gonna
lose.
end.
It did open at like 144 million this weekend. So that's like a really good like ticket wise. I think that's some of the most in the past decade. Or like
Yeah, it's
one
doing
of the
really
most the
well.
highest openings in the past decade. Yeah.
Definitely for this year, if nothing else. Like they said, they think it's gonna, I don't know, maybe get to
Yeah.
1 billion in the box office.
We've had some bangers. Yeah, we had some bangers this
They've been
summer,
feeding us
this year.
good. I loved it. It was such a good experience. I feel like the last time I was this excited about something, I can't even tell you. Like it's been a really long time, and that was just like wow. Sometimes you watch a movie and it's like, oh, that movie was good. And then sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, this belongs on the silver screen. This is why we have theaters still. Because especially when you have like access to streaming services, like you could sit at home on your couch or whatever. I highly encourage everyone to get up
Yeah.
and leave your house to go see this. Otherwise, like, I don't know, it's just not going to hit the same. Like, it's amazing. And we don't get that. But how amazing was it?
I'm gonna say you already know. I'm gonna give it innocent. I'm gonna give it innocent. I don't got nothing to complain about. Like the movie had an amazing pace to it. The visuals are great. I was locked in on the racing scenes. I got to see Brad Pitt, got to see my boy Damson. I think they had a good kind of like mentor slash apprentice type of synergy,
Mm-hmm.
towards I feel like for most of the movie they were kind of like always head to head with each other, but I loved the point where near the end of the movie they actually had some teamwork and that's what won them the race. And I also like the very, very ending of the movie, where Brad Pitt goes on to race even more, but just elsewhere. It just made me feel connected with the character. Like he was like, I got some more dragons to slay, and that's what he went and did. So I'm like, yeah, I like this character. So all in all, I'm gonna give it an innocent, and I'd rate it like a 9 out of 10 as a movie. But I'll probably see it again. I already have plans set to see it again, but I'll definitely see it in
Yeah,
IMAX.
for sure. I
Yeah.
also am going to give this movie an innocent. I
Wow, really? Wow.
I
Wow.
I know, it's true. I loved it so much. This was such a treat for me. I feel like I don't always like movies, I guess. But I love watching movies. I just am tough on them, I guess. But this was genuinely, there was nothing
Hmm.
wrong with this movie. I don't have a single thing that I would have changed. The
Yeah.
score, the soundtrack, awesome. The casting was great and the acting was great. It was like a stacked cast, but still very believable. And I felt like the plot was genuine. I feel like if they had done something crazy or unpredictable or like over the top, it would have taken away from what we're supposed to be paying attention to, which is like the racing.
Yeah.
So
Like some speed racer
yeah, this
shit.
was like a plot great enough to carry that kind of like cinematography and imagery. And I feel like I don't know, like it did so well. It was super creative and original in so many ways while still being true to like a genre or a trope. And it wasn't corny, it was funny. It had that right amount of relief. Like
Right.
there was love, there was romance, there was a romantic, interest there, but it wasn't distracting at all. It was very tastefully done and overall just so well balanced. Like, there's nothing wrong with this movie, and it was long. I could have sat for longer. Like, it was really good. The pacing was great. Such a cool, like, blend of, like, action and, like, a little bit of suspense and a little bit of drama. I loved it. Everyone is so
Yeah, for
amazing,
sure.
and write them a
I
big
think it was
fat
also
check
cool.
immediately.
I think it was also cool how they involved real life racers too.
Yeah, like, that's
Like,
important.
I think for a lot of people, they'll think they're just like background characters,
Yeah.
but like, no, these are like real F1 racers involved. So that was pretty
Super
cool.
cool. Yeah, like I loved it. Shout out to everyone involved. Bless you and your people. Like, this was a movie. This is
Yeah.
the kind of thing that like really saves the Cinemarks. And this
Hmm.
is amazing. I had so much fun, and I hope that when I go to the movies, every time I leave feeling like that.
I want to go to one of these races one day.
100%. We'll make it. If
Um,
this podcast blows up,
be on one of those, yeah,
we'll be there.
be on one of those balconies, like in the last race, you had that balcony and all the people and they had their drinks and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
chill. It's
something to dream
nice.
about.
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool that they shot at real races as well. Like, Chris Hemsworth, that's why he was in it.
Hmm.
Like, he was just going to a race and he was
Yeah.
there. And
Going
I'm
to a
pretty
race.
sure this like side of John Krasinski's head, like they were just there watching, and I
Yeah.
think that's super cool. But yeah, that was such a fun treat. Yeah, this is the kind of movie that inspires people to get like a pass at AMC or something. Like, super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Movies are back again. It's been such a good year for movies. I can't say that every year.
Yeah. So what do the box officers have next?
Next, we are doing a movie review over Jurassic Park, one of my favorite franchises in the entire world ever.
1 week till Jurassic
I
Park.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. If I had to tattoo a movie on
Yeah.
the back of my neck, it would be Jurassic Park. That's how much I love Jurassic Park. So we'll see. I love this movie. I loved
Okay.
F1 so much. I don't know where that came from.
Tattoo the logo and the little
Well,
dinosaur logo.
yeah.
Okay.
So F1 set the bar high. July is a hot month for movies, so F1 really started us off right, and we're gonna see
Yeah.
if next week we have another innocent or I don't know.
Yeah. Because
Do
we
we need to bring out
got.
the cuffs?
'Cause-
So we have so much to look forward to. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and spending time with us. And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and leave a comment, and we're going to see you guys next week.
Go ahead, hit us up next week. Peace out.
Bye.